So, hi guys, how are you all doing today? Welcome to the second episode of Let's Talk About Men Who Are Time Wasters. How are you all doing today? My name is Chinyere, and you are welcome to today's episode of the Couch Podcast with Juliettsstyleglam. Right, so today we're going to be talking about second episode. So we're going to be focusing on the divorce proceedings between Jeezy and Junimai. Now, I had not wanted to talk about this for a lot of reasons, and I didn't want to go into this because I just felt like we didn't have all the facts, based on things that are unfolding. But, I would say today that yes, we have gotten somewhere. Now, let's begin. Okay, so Junimai and Jeezy got married about during the pandemic. And the marriage just lasted about 2 years. And in the course of that marriage, there has been a baby girl. Now, after 2 years, Jeezy then says that he is no longer interested in the marriage and that everyone should go their separate ways. And he hopes and prays that we all, co-parent as, for the interest of the daughter. Now, the divorce proceedings, according to Junimai, she says that that she was blindsided. Okay, so let's talk about men who are time wasters. And I'm going to start with Jeezy. I'm going to do another episode for Junimai, okay? But things will be a little bit mixed up just because of how I'm going to talk about it. But if I'm lucky enough and it's not mixed up, yay! Right. So let's start from the beginning. Men who are time wasters. Now, since Jeezy announced his divorce, we also know that Jeezy, wrote a book. He's had success with a couple of projects. He's been into music and all that. And he was a guest at Tamron Hall's show where he talked about his I think he talked about 8 things that helped him become who he is today. Now, we all know that Jeezy also has had a very traumatic childhood, which he has been quite open about, and he has been trying to, he spoke about, most notably, that his mom actually held, an arm to his, head growing up. And all this, I'm trying to say, accumulates to the person Jeezy is. Now, when you look at Jeezy right from the bat, you would see him as a man who's got it all, in order. You would have this impression of a man who knows what he wants. You have the impression of a man who has decided, for himself, this is what I want and I'm going to go for it. Now, that is a good thing, but at the end of the day, the question is, what does he want? Now, in the course of the pandemic, I did a video where we talked about let's not go catching feelings, because again, one could say that, he and Junimai got into the thick of things. People were not seeing each other, companionship, the need to, bodies to rub together. You know what I mean? And then they got into it. Now, I say this to say that men who are time wasters do also come in the persona of Jeezy. And why do I say so? Now, Jeezy is the kind of person, and there are men like that. There are men, they have this brutal persona. They have this brutal, have this sharp-edged, razor-focused look on them. And not all of them, but most of them. And this is because they have gone through a curated appearance. Everything that they have done, everything he has done. Jeezy has spoken about how he keeps himself, healthy. He talks about weight loss. He talks about all those things. So it's a curated thing. This is someone who has taken time and said, this time I am taking is for myself. Again, I would understand where he's coming from because he's got a whole lot of baggage. And so he he has told himself that he doesn't want to, and he doesn't see himself transferring this baggage to another person. You could say it's selfless, okay? But he's that person who has said, I'm not willing to transfer this baggage I carry to another person. The kind of person Jeezy is the kind of person that if he says no, that's it. It's no. There is no in between with his type of person. They are just who they are. They are men who have used their trauma as a shield. Okay? Now, they have used their trauma as a shield to stop themselves from getting hurt. And so in you could be looking at Jeezy and be like, okay, is this person capable of love? His love is not full. We have men who actually, their heart is, totally in. The kind of person, the persona they assume is not willing and ready to give themselves fully to anyone for whatever reason. Because there is nothing under the sun you're going to tell them about a happily ever after, because that is not their reality. And they are too realistic. Men like that, their reality has nothing to do with fairy tales. That's it, And so coming across men like that, can be scary. In its own way, it can be very, very scary, because this is, again, a curated persona, and this curated persona is not going to shift for anyone but themselves. So it is only them who will be willing and ready to shift that persona from whatever they are to another thing. It's not going to budge. The likes of Jeezy are people who the yes is a yes and the no is a no. That's it. There, again, like I had said previously, there is no in between in those people. And so one could always say, okay, but how can I recognize or know this type of people? Actually, it's very easy, because they are who they are. Their minds, they have perfected the art of being able to separate their hearts from their thoughts, and their brain. Everything is functioning, okay, clearly. And because everything functions so clearly with them, they don't drink excessively. There are things that they do not do, because these things are a weakness. And in fact, falling in love is a weakness for them. It's not a strength. And so men who are time wasters, I classify them as time wasters, because for a woman who would be ready, like Jinimai, to give her all and put in the work and say, this is where I want to be, especially after a bad marriage, it can be devastating emotionally. Okay. And so I say this to say, and I will keep saying the same thing I have always been repeating, and I'm not going to stop repeating it, that there is nothing wrong with actually taking time to know the person that you're with. There is nothing wrong with testing the person you're with. And I had a conversation. Now, while we're talking, if you want to send me messages or ask questions, you can do that via email on julietstyle@gmail.com. Once again, it's julietstyle, JULIETTSTYLE @gmail.com. Or you can follow me on my WhatsApp channel. And because I'm also going to be posting the episodes of my podcast on my WhatsApp channel, I'm going to put the link in the podcast as well. Okay. So you can also follow me on all my social media networks. It's all JuliettsstyleGlam, Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. And so, how I will keep on saying what I have been saying. And what I keep saying is the fact that there is nothing wrong with taking time. And there is nothing wrong with removing sex from the table. Let me repeat that. There is absolutely, absolutely nothing wrong with removing sex from the table. Sex beclouds your notion, what you are supposed to be thinking, what you're supposed to be knowing, and all the flags that you're supposed to be getting, in attuned with. I was having a conversation this past weekend because I went for a function. Don't worry, I'm going to put the pictures up later. I was having a conversation with a brother of mine, and we were talking in this direction about marriages and relationships, and the fact that, his argument was that women are actually the losers in this. Now, again, I want to be clear, and exactly what I told him. I said the woman will only be the loser, if she does not learn from the past. The woman will only be the loser if everything she has gone through in the past has not and in any way told or reported or manifested in her new person, because that means she's just doing around and round and round in circles, and nothing is changing. And so for people like this, I would keep saying, because again, I have actually dated someone like that. True story, I've actually dated, I think I've talked about it on one of my YouTube channels. I've actually dated someone like that, and I was so blindsided. That's the word I'm going to use where Jinima is concerned as well. I was so blindsided by what was going on. I was taken in by the looks. I was taken in by the stature, because I've always been attracted to tall men. That's me. You have to be 6 feet, and, that has always been my attraction. And so I've always been attracted to tall men. And so I was taken in by that height, the looks, but I did not see the person beneath. One of the things that was very noticeable with me in that relationship was each time he spoke with me, being that he was also taller than I, there was not a time we ever kept eye contact. He would speak to me and he'll be speaking above my head. He will speak to me and he'll be looking away. He would speak to me, and it was a calculated thing, and he did it on purpose. I never cued in on that very quickly. I did not. And the day he broke up with me, it was like, that's it. I'm done. There was no reason. There was absolutely nothing. That was it. He was okay. He had his fill. He's done. Okay? And exactly we see what Jeezy exhibits. Now, I don't want to use the word cold and calculated, but that's what it's given. Very cold and calculated. There are people like that. There are spaces, they're in their world, there is no hour. In their world, it's only a my. It's my house. It's my this. It's my that. It's my car. It's my money. There is no hour with people like this. And these are some of the little things that you could use into cue into what you are dealing with, in terms of a relationship. Okay? Because I will tell you, there are people like that. They do not, they do not want to, because for them, everything that has to do with emotions is linked to weakness. And so because every emotion is linked to weakness, it is difficult for them to actually show it. And their hearts are so guarded that, listen, in the fairy tales, in the romance novels, they tell us that the woman, no, this one is not romance. It's not romance. No, it's not romance book. It's not romance novel. This one it's curated, and that is how they want it to be. And so this sort of men, I term them as time wasters, because really you're not going to get anything out of them. They are content being baby fathers. They are content fathering children. They are content, and they have a lid on the number of children they are willing to father. You cannot make, they are not careless. That's the language I'm going to use. They are not careless. There is a number that they have pegged it at, and that's it. It's not going to go beyond that. And so they are okay with that. As long as you have your space, I got mine. That's it. They want, and they cannot be with someone for too long. Being with someone for too long for them is a red flag. It is the beginning of the moments that they need to disassociate from that person, because there is, again, those emotions that they do not want to come, that warmth that they begin to feel, they don't want it to appear. And so what they do is they begin to disassociate from that person. And so they have a time stamp. There's a time stamp on what they are willing and how long they are willing to be with someone. And once that time stamp is done, there is nothing you're going to do under the sun and in the sky and in the sea and in the water and in the mountain. There is nothing you're going to do that is going to get them out of there. They've made up their mind. They have made up their mind. I want to say, they've made up their minds. I was going to say something, but yeah, you see? And so we are in that situation. And so dear ladies, I'm going to say this. Please do yourself a good, a service. And because, again, you don't want to be caught in that, because it is going to be so easy when you're caught in that. It's going to be so easy to develop so much anger and discontent and misericord where the person is concerned, and even hate. It's going to be so easy because you would feel like you were taken for a ride. You would feel like you were taken for a fool. You would feel like, why waste my time? That is exactly how you're going to feel. And this is where this episode of this podcast will ends. Do not fail to like. Do not fail to follow the podcast. Do not fail as well to listen and share the podcast. Do not fail to follow me on all my social media networks. And again, if you have any questions, hit me up on my email. Is juliettsstyle@gmail.com, or you can follow me on my WhatsApp channel, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a lovely, lovely day. Bye.